Well, in the UK, the average household spend on Christmas this year is estimated to be £800 extra per household, okay? My rough maths, when I've done that together, grosses up to about £21 billion worth of spending just from households on Christmas this year. £21 billion just from households. Then there's businesses, then there's government, then there's everyone else. It's an awful lot of money, isn't it? And let's face it, getting ready for Christmas is an awful lot of time and effort. All that Christmas shopping, the Christmas trees, the decorations, the parties, the cooking, the turkey, all those kinds of things. It's a lot of effort, isn't it? Is it really worth it? Why does it matter? Why should we bother at all? £21 billion, just for you to visualize. Imagine... Here's a £10 note, okay? Imagine enough £10 notes put in a row to get all the way from London to Moscow. That's like a long way. That's how much money our household spends on Christmas this year. So what is the big deal? Well, we've been looking at what various people in the Bible passages we've read said about Christmas. Look who's talking. That's been our theme. And we've looked at what the prophets said, and we've looked at what the Magi said. But a couple more looks who's talking will help us understand what the big deal really is. And this time we're going to be focusing on the Magi, the wise men, sometimes known as the three kings, although they probably weren't kings and there probably weren't three of them, but never mind the detail. Look who's talking. We actually don't know what these Magi said exactly, but sometimes actions speak louder than words, don't they? And there are a couple of actions here which communicate an awful lot to us. First of all, through their gifts, they are talking to us about who Jesus really was. Through their gifts, they were telling us who Jesus really was. Now, I wonder if somebody could just help me for a moment. Sophie, can you help me for a moment? Sorry. Just randomly. Okay. Sophie is just going to give me a gift, okay? And through the gift, when you see what it is, you're going to see something about who I am. So would you like to just present this to me? Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Okay, so anybody know what this is? Okay, I'm showing off. This is my medal for doing a half marathon. So by getting this gift, you know that I completed the half marathon, that I'm a runner. It shows you something about who I am. Okay, whatever, I mean. Ask about the time afterwards if you want to, but you know. And rather in the same way, when the wise men brought those gifts to Jesus, the gifts told us something about who Jesus really is. Gold, frankincense, and myrrh. A long time before Jesus was born, there was another king, one of Jesus' ancestors, called King Solomon. And when he was right at the peak of his fame, a very famous queen from another country, a bit like the wise men came from another country, they came to King Solomon and she gave him lots of gold and lots of spices because he was a great king. And so when the Magi give to Jesus the same gifts, spices and gold, they're telling us who this Jesus really is, that he is the great king, the promised king whom God was going to send. But perhaps there was a little bit more as well, because frankincense, that was used by the priests in the temple, and myrrh, that was used to embalm dead bodies. So put those three things together, and we learn three things about who Jesus was. Number one, he's a king who came to rule. Number two, he's a priest who can bring us into relationship with God, because that's what the priests were for. And number three, he was going to die for us in order to mend the gap between us and God, as Alison just said. And those three gifts tell us who Jesus really was. He was a king, he came to bring us into relationship with God, and he did it through his death on the cross. He did it through forgiveness. This is huge good news on this Christmas morning, isn't it? Forgiveness for all the muck and the mess and the bad choices. We call it sin, but it's everything in our hearts and lives and minds that's wrong, that's against God, and that makes us feel guilty and that spoils our lives. And Jesus came to pay the cost for all that on the cross so that we could be forgiven and brought back into the relationship with God that we were made for. Amazing. It doesn't get any bigger or better than that. If that's what Christmas is about, then all the fuss is more than worth it, isn't it? Because this is the best news ever. But how should we respond? Well, that's the second thing that the actions of the wise men tell us. Because in verse 11, it tells us that they came and worshipped the infant Jesus, the baby Jesus. They came and worshipped him. And that is the obvious, the natural response when you see who Jesus really is. When you know he's come from God, he's the great king, and he came to bring us to God. What can you do but fall at his feet and worship him? Praising him for who he is and giving our lives to him to say thank you for the amazing gift that he has given to us. So can I ask you this Christmas morning, and this is a really important question, and it's important whether you're 3 or 300, don't know how many of us here are 300, are you, please look me in the eye, are you worshiping King Jesus this morning? Are you worshiping him? Have you seen who he is? Have you understood what he came to earth to do for you, to bring you back to God? Have you received that gift? Have you fallen at his cradle and worshiped him? Have you given your life to him? Because I tell you, it will be the greatest Christmas you've ever had if you make that decision to respond to Jesus today, to say thank you for what he did, to ask him to take away the rubbish in your life and to bring you into friendship with God. That is the greatest Christmas gift, and it's for every day of the year. Are you a worshiper of Jesus? Have you received him? Please don't go from this place this morning until you know the answer to that question is yes. And if you'd like to find out a little bit more, I'm going to be on the door at the end. I'll have a pocket full of little booklets in my back pocket, some for kids, some for not kids. Please just ask me for one. You can take it away and make sure that you know how to answer that question for yourself. Happy Christmas. Thanks so much for listening.